If it wasn't for this, I don't know what I'd do.
Without this group, I probably would not be here. I probably would have killed myself by now.
I was sitting on the edge of my bed, and at the last couple seconds before I pulled the trigger, I just broke down. Then I knew I needed to come in here.
Muddy Boots is exactly as the word, we are combat vets. With the theater in Vietnam, there's Air Force, Navy, there's a lot of different people. And Muddy Boots, we being unique as combat vets, we could relate to each other differently than we could with a regular group of guys.
I would just like to add a little context to what Muddy Boots means. Most everybody, if not everybody in this group, has also had bloody boots. The blood of our comrades on them. We've been in it.
I was in a long-range patrol unit in Vietnam. Came back with severe survivor's guilt.
I had survivor guilt, huge, which is part of PTSD. A lot of us do.
I spent the majority of my life after Vietnam trying to figure out why I was so screwed up. All of a sudden I realized that in World War II they called it battle fatigue. In Korea it was battle fatigue. We call it PTSD, which that's all PTSD.
When I came back, I couldn't understand why I was doing and feeling the way I was feeling. I did some stupid stuff.
I had shut down, I had narrowed my emotions, and I kind of was a loner. I did a lot of things with some people, but I was never able to get close, and it was a lot of problems with my family, my wife, and my children.
I started having some fairly serious panic attacks. I just decompensated and quit functioning. And that's been a pattern in my life. I would go a few years and then decompensate and blow everything up.
When I started to retire, it all started flooding back, so I ended up at the vet center.
And I couldn't understand my dreams. I was right back to square one. I couldn't understand my dreams, why I was seeing the same stuff all the time.
And you can't describe the horror and the fears and the things that we experienced. And so, and you don't want to talk about those things. We either drank, drugged, ran away from it, got as busy in whatever thing we could do.
Having gone through the most traumatic experience of my life, I needed some therapy. I needed to be able to learn how to deal with it, and found out that you quickly sucked it up and tucked it away and went on with life the best you could. So I spent about 40 years in denial that anything was ever my problem. It was always somebody else's problem. My world was the wet bag of crap hanging over your head, and I just had to poke it to touch it, and it just came all unglued. And then I realized the problem was my issue rather than other people's. When I came here, I was circling the drain.
What we've been through, and other vets, it's tough, but we don't want to admit that we need help.
Getting us together, we were able to talk things out.
The vet centers is a godsend to veterans. You come in instantly. There's no wait. You're talked to that day. You may need to set an appointment to come and talk with somebody else, but they will talk with you that day before they release you, and they'll help you out right then. And it's not like you don't have to wait.
I've been through the VA system. I've spent many days in the hospital. But they're civilians, and when you talk about your experiences, they don't have a clue.
You can't go to the hospital for this kind of help. You have to come to a group and really talk it out.
You walk into the vet center, and it's mostly ex-military guys at the front desk and on the staff, and it's, hey, come in, let us show you what we can do for you.
We have activities and things where we actually get to do something together to build camaraderie.
They've got different programs to teach you how to fish, to teach you how to take pictures, art projects, yoga, you name it. I mean, they'll get you out of your basement. And I spent a lot of time in my basement.
The people here are loving, caring, they're very involved. They want to help you out.
They take care of you here. And they do it from the heart, not from the money. And they understand.
The vet center gave me the words to understand what was going on. They gave me the insight on what I was feeling. They helped me understand that I wasn't the only person. This group has educated me and has helped me with survivor's guilt immensely. I know that I can get an answer.
I feel like I'm back in Vietnam with these guys. There's a camaraderie that we have that I haven't had in civilian life at all. There's just a connection that we have with each other. You don't have to talk about what it was like because they were there. We're able to cut through a lot of the stuff and be able to talk about things that are happening with ourselves. There was a connection made out that I had not felt since I was in the service in Vietnam.
Different levels of the onion are being peeled open as we're in here, and it's kind of a hard thing. Sometimes we go away a little bit stressed, but we long to be back. Pulls me out of my bunker and lets me participate with other guys and share some commonality. There's a real commonality in combat that you experience, and no matter what you were doing with your Army, Air, Navy, Marine, some things are not the same, but the overall things are the same, like the fear. Something we didn't address, we just kind of hid it and never talked about it, but it's haunted us.
We have a camaraderie. That has been developed here, this camaraderie with these men, through 11, 12 years of doing this. And the therapy that's gone along with it has certainly helped me to adapt and cope. And a lot of the demons have diminished. They're still there, but they're not as bad as they were.
Here, I was able to find a place that cared, a place of understanding, a place that I could feel the camaraderie of that I had back in Vietnam. And it means the world to me. As a guy, I hate to be that emotional to say that I'm that dependent, because I like to be in control of my own little world. But if I didn't have the group, I would be definitely lost.
I've got people who understand what's going on with me. I can talk about the stuff that's real. When they ask, how are you doing? I don't have to make something up. You know, we generally know how each other's doing.
I've been here 14 years. It took me almost 10 years just to be able to talk, and now I'm still emotional. But if it wasn't for these guys, I'd probably still be off in my own world.
What I've learned here is that some of the effects of extended period in combat, it changes you, and not always for the better. And when you understand some of these things, and they're constants, almost everybody experiences some of this. So when you have an understanding of that, then it no longer controls your life. You can say, oh, I know what's happening. I know why it's happening. This is how I can make an adjustment so it doesn't affect me as negatively.
There's not enough vet centers in the country. I'm sure there's a tremendous amount of veterans out there, especially the young ones, that are not going to the vet centers. I think the concern now is the newer vets, the young vets that really need to start showing up at these places. And the news needs to get out somehow much better than it has.
I feel sorry for the younger guys because they're not getting in touch with it. But they need to be knowing more about the vet centers. They need to put it out. The VA needs to put it out more.
All the World War II veterans, all the Korean veterans, all the Vietnam veterans over the years have talked so bad about the service they get at the VA that if you put VA with anything, that's the first thing that comes to their mind, and they don't want anything to do with it. This isn't your grandfather or your father's VA. This isn't the Vietnam VA. This isn't part of that. This is a place for healing.
I know a lot of the young guys, when they come back, they're still suffering. They're having family issues, they're having social issues, they're having other things, but it's not them because they have a new normal. Their new normal is different than before they went in. And if they don't address it while they're young, it'll start happening physically like it did to most of us. Your body is going to deal with this one way or the other. Either you address it or it's going to address you. The young guys, the hardest thing is to get them to realize, hey, there is hope, there is help. It may not heal everything, it may not solve everything, but it really does help and it makes a difference in your life.
Yesterday I met some Iraqi vets and some other vets that were suffering the same way I suffer. And I thought, those guys are going through the same thing we went through, that we just, because of lack of knowledge. This is the best program I've ever been involved in. I've been counseled, right? I make this group a regular part of my week. This has been the best thing in my life, and these guys are all part of my life. That's what keeps me alive.
One of the things that we live with as vets is the statistic that there's 22 vets a day that take their own lives. Now, the big VA will say, no, it's only 18. But you know what? That's still 18 too many. If there are too many barriers to service, they don't get service, and they take their own lives. And this is a horrible, horrible legacy for our country.
Do you think that this Vet Center's program could make a difference with that statistic?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It has made the difference.
You're looking
Yeah.
at survivors in this room,
Yeah.
all of us.
I get suicidal, and what I get to go through here, you know, I can walk in and nowhere else in my life, but I can walk into this group and say, I've been kind of on the edge. I've felt suicidal this week. And it's understood, and I can say it here.
We discuss suicide often and why we haven't gone that route. And I think every one of us in here has contemplated how much better things would be if we weren't. But this group and this program has helped show me that I need to stay here
Numerous times.
numerous times, daily.
Yeah.
Talking about it's a deadly situation. You know, we have a solution right here.
It's not perfect. It doesn't stop everything, but it's a lot better. And it's home.